මේ උතුම් ධර්මදේශනයේ ඉංග්‍රීසි මාධ්‍යය ඔස්සේ විකාශනය කිරීමෙන් ප්‍රචාරය කිරීමෙන් උතුම් ධර්ම දානය සිදු කිරීමෙන් ජනිත වන මහා පුණ්‍ය ශක්තිය 78 වන ජන්මදිනයේ යෙදෙන වයලට් ජීවන්දර මැතිණියට නිදුක් වේවා නිරෝගී වේවා සුවපත් වේවා වහවහ ධර්ම මාර්ගයේ පූර්ණේ වේවා කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. එසේම වේවා කියලා ආශිර්වාද කරනවා.
शरणं गच्छामि बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि
समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनि राजस्य सुनन्तु सग्ग मुक्खदं ධම්ම ශ්‍රවණ කාලෝ අයං බදන්තා ධම්ම ශ්‍රවණ කාලෝ අයං බදන්තා ධම්ම ශ්‍රවණ කාලෝ අයං බදන්තා නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස පංචෛ භික්ඛවේ අංගේහි අනුග්ගහිතා සම්මාදිට්ඨි විමුක්ති පලාච හෝති චේතෝ විමුක්ති පලානි සංසා පඤ්ඤා විමුක්ති හෝති පඤ්ඤා විමුක්ති පලානි සංසාච කතමේහි පංචෛ ඉද භික්ඛවේ සම්මාදිට්ඨි සීලානුග්ගහිතාච හෝති සුතානුග්ගහිතාච හෝති සාකච්ඡානුග්ගහිතාච හෝති සමතානුග්ගහිතාච හෝති විපස්සනානුග්ගහිතාච hoti. Dear Dhamma friends and devotees, by the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, I would like to wish everyone to be well, happy and peaceful, finally to attain Supreme Nibbana. Dear Dhamma friends, what you are looking for throughout of this life, you may say there are lots of things. That means we are finding worldly things such as beautiful houses, expensive vehicles, good education, etc. But finally, you have to end up with what is real happiness. For that question, you have to ask yourself that how to find real happiness. According to the Buddha's noble teachings, Santutti Paramandanang, pleasure is the noble wealth. What is pleasure? You have to earn within yourself. This pleasure arises with Dhamma. Dhamma means here we understand what the Buddha taught us to follow. The Buddha's teaching exists. The Buddha's teaching is existing in this world forever. Just we have to find ourselves with the help of Kalyana Mitta or noble people, those who may ordain or lay people. But still, they have to have good knowledge and practice. And then they are able to guide us to have real happiness or pleasure. By following lots of activities with our daily routine, we are working harder to find this kind of pleasure, especially mental pleasure. Today, I would like to invite you to engage in this sermon mentally and then to apply into your day-to-day activities. I know it cannot be easy or simple due to this hectic society, because people are so busy with their family work. Not only that, they are so busy with their work and then to survive with their loved ones. But still, we can't escape from sicknesses, old age, and then finally death. Any time we may meet with final destination of death. I'm not going to invite you to cry by thinking this way, but you have to be mindful with this real nature of life. If you are going to forget the real nature of this life, definitely we are going to violate precepts or rules. That means we are under pressure. Not only that, we may have lots of mental stress and depression because of this pressure or hardness. So that's why we are asking you to engage in Dhamma and then to put into practice. While you are having continuity of your ordinary life, you may gain lots of happiness, especially mental happiness within yourself. Why I mention few words you may gain? Because there are people, those who are not practicing these teachings. But there are people, those who are practicing teachings of the Buddha. Buddha means nothing but compassion and wisdom. We have to respect the Buddha as noble human, as a noble human. The Buddha enlightened in all kind of things. The Buddha realized cause and effect. And then he preached us, you have to be mindful and vigilant with this world. You have to be mindful with these two facts. When you live as ordinary people, you have to work with conventional things. You have to call yourself and then to others by saying, it's me, you are in my life. These things belongs to me. Therefore, I have to protect and then to deal with it. But still, it's not permanent. Those things are not permanent. Nothing is permanent. In this world, everything is impermanent. You have to discipline. You have to be disciplined in this nature. And then to be virtuous people while following your daily activities. You may be a wife, husband, mother or father. You may be children. You may human beings. At least just we have to mention that way. As human beings, whatever positions you hold, but still you are finding real pleasure. What I explained before, real pleasure that we have to gain within ourselves. That's why the Buddha taught us these kind of teachings. Conventionally it's me, but absolutely nothing to sway my own mind. By knowing this reality, we are going to deal with this ordinary world, but we are not going to grasp anything by thinking it is permanent. And then we don't want to violate any kind of precepts or rule which exist in Dhamma or in society. And then we are able to continue our day-to-day activities peacefully. Otherwise, police may there. We have to go through law. Finally, it may end up with prison. There are cases because they don't respect each other or the system of this world or society. So that's why we have to be disciplined in Dhamma and then to realize the reality of this nature. It is easy to continue our life with lots of peace of our mind. All over the world, people are asking for peace. They need to have peace of mind. In Buddhist teachings, there are lots of chances to gain. Dear Dhamma friends, today I am going to deliver my sermon on Anuggahita Sutta, which assists us to have right understanding or Sammaditthi. When we follow Sammaditthi, we are going to free from 5 hindrances and then to have good results. Also, we are going to have fruition of wisdom and then to eradicate all kind of defilement which exists in our mind. There are 5 things which help us to have Sammaditthi or right understanding. First one is Silanuggahita. Sila means morality. You may hear on this subject more often, because on Poya days you used to go to monasteries or temples and then to observe precepts and to protect them meaningfully. At the same time, you are supposed to be virtuous persons, people, daily. So that's why you are supposed to observe 5 precepts and then to apply into your actions. Keep in your mind, you have to observe and then to apply into your actions. It could be mental, verbal or physical. That means sila. You are going to be virtuous people. When you practice moral lives, you are going to make lots of calmness and still in your mind. When you feel calmness in your mind creates lots of happy thoughts which are not engaged in any defilement. I mean, these thoughts are not going to engage in greed, aversion, anger, illusion, etc. But still you are not enlightened. But you know how to tackle with these thoughts. Sometimes these thoughts are not right. It depends on our society or our tradition or our belief system. Sometimes we know it's right, but our mind doesn't like to practice because we are not trained to accept. People may ask, like our teachers or parents or well-educated people, this is what you are supposed to do. This is what you are not supposed to do. But still our mind doesn't accept because my mind is not ready to follow it. So that's why we need a moral life. And then to talk to myself. This is wholesome, this is unwholesome. If I am going to follow wholesome activities, definitely I am able to face for good results. If I am going to follow unwholesome activities, definitely I am supposed to face for bad results. And then I am going to create my own destiny with good or bad. If you want to be happy, and then I have to follow right path. Otherwise we are going to invite ourselves lots of pains and sorrow towards us. Therefore, when we practice 5 precepts, I mean, like you, as lay people, when you practice 5 precepts, just you have to touch your mind and then think about your own life. Being a human is so rare. We have suffered a lot in our previous lives. This is what the Buddha said. With his divine eyes and knowledge and wisdom. Having a human life so rare, we got that chance. And then Why we are going to waste this important time, valuable life? It is noble. We are able to use for a good cause. Therefore, being a virtuous people, we may gain lots of happiness. We don't want to hurt or harm anyone else, including animals or tiny creatures. We are not talking about only human beings, but also all living beings. We have to respect lives. We have to live happily. At the same time, we have to let other people to be happy. That means we respect beings. We don't want to harm or hurt any beings, physically or mentally or verbally. Some are abusing other people with their words and physical actions. If you have gained this valuable life, why we are not going to think about others' lives? I love myself. So that's why I'm protecting my life. I don't want to be beaten by anyone else. Having comparison with your own life, you are able to respect others. That means you are not going to kill other beings. You respect lives. Also, you are not going to steal anything which is not belongs to you. Also, you are not going to violate any family bondages. That means you are going to refrain from sensual misbehavior. Also, you are not going to lie, including harsh words, slanderous words, and gossip. Also, you are going to abstain from intoxicating drugs and drinks. Simply not to kill, not to steal, not to have sensual misbehavior, not to lie, and finally not to take intoxicating drugs and drinks. Simply those are the 5 precepts what the Buddhist, especially lay people, are supposed to practice daily. That means you are going to be virtuous. And then there's a place to be aware of this nature. Nothing is permanent. Everything is impermanent. Convincingly me, but absolutely nothing to say my own mind. Being a virtuous person, you are going to act accordingly. Also, you are finding your own real happiness within yourself, and then to be mindful with this reality. This is what I explain. Nothing is permanent, everything is impermanent. By saying this, I'm not going to invite anyone to cry, but to be mindful and then to be vigilant. That means you are going to have development of mind or right understanding, samadhi. See, with the help of moral life, you are going to development of right understanding. When we talk about right understanding, there are 2 things just we have to focus on. Kammasakata samadhi and vipassana samadhi, or chatusacca samadhi. According to the teachings of the Buddha, we have to be aware of our present action. If we are going to follow any actions, it could be mental, verbal, or physical, with evil thoughts, definitely we are going to accumulate unwholesome activities. With pure thoughts, if we are going to continue our mental, verbal, and physical actions, definitely we are going to accumulate wholesome activities or good karma. We have done lots of good karma in our previous lives. As a result of that good karma, we are able to have this valuable life. And then, why we are going to abuse this valuable life with unwholesome actions? When we talk to our own mind, or when we touch our own heart, we are encouraged by ourselves to continue our pure path. Of course, you are not enlightened still, but being a bodhisattva who practices the path what the Buddha preached us to continue, he is keeping thoughts in his mind to attain Supreme Nibbana, who wishes to fulfill his path with the teachings of the Buddha. This person is called as Bodhisattva. As I mentioned before, still we are not enlightened people. But to know, we came to the path to follow the teachings of the Buddha. And then we are going to continue wholesome activities, because we don't want to lose this valuable life. If we are going to lose this valuable life, definitely we are going to reborn in one of hells. It is not easy to escape from that. We have to go through for millions of billions lives with lots of pains and sorrow. When we talk to ourselves with that understanding, we encourage ourselves to continue our path, which is pure. Kammassa kata sammaditthi, simply do good, not to violate anything. Purify your mind, and then to concentrate on the path of Nibbana. When we talk about Chatusacca Sammaditthi or Vipassana Sammaditthi, we have to focus on Four Noble Truths. We introduce as super mundane wisdom. Four Noble Truths, when we talk about, just we have to mention accordingly. Dukkha, noble truth of dukkha. There is suffering, old age, sicknesses, death, associating with unfriendly people, departing from loved ones, not getting what we want. Finally, these five aggregates are suffering, which are painful, subject to change. When we focus on this truth, we are encouraged to find what's origin. Origin is craving. Craving creates this dukkha or suffering. And then nirodha, how to eradicate this dukkha or suffering. We have to eradicate tanha or craving or attachment. And how to follow the path to eradicate the suffering. Nirodha gamini patipada, Arya Magga. And then Eightfold Path, teachings of Eightfold Path exist there. Sammaditthi, right understanding. Samma Sankappa, right concept. Samma Vacha, right speech. Samma Kammanta, right action. Samma Ajiva, right livelihood. Samma Vayama, right effort. Samma Sati, right mindfulness. And Samma Samadhi, right concentration. Those are the 8 noble paths what we are supposed to follow. When we become virtuous people, we are supposed to know what is kammasakata sammaditthi, good path and bad things. At the same time, we have to work on right path of lokottara sammaditthi, super mundane path. That means we have to work with Four Noble Truth while focusing on liberation of painful circle we call as samsara. Sila, moral lives help us to have right understanding. And then to have fruition of wisdom. This is what Sila Nuggahita Chahoti. Morality helps us to have right understanding. Number 2 is Sutanuggahita. We have to listen to Dhamma. We are supposed to follow the Dhamma. There are 3 people in teachings of the Buddha. When you listen to the Buddha's teachings, there are 3 kind of listeners are introduced. First one is named Avakujja Panya. When he listens Dhamma, who doesn't have any kind of sensations of what is right or what is not right. He doesn't know how to get rid of attachment. He doesn't want to practice. He doesn't know how to get rid of anger or aversion. Even he doesn't want to think about that. Also, he doesn't know what is aversion, what is illusion or delusion. Just listen. Not only that, even after that sermon or talk on Dhamma, he left the place with empty mind. He has no any feelings of Dhamma. As an ordinary person, he used to act with greed, aversion and delusion, who is called as avakujja panya. Number 2, uchanga panya. This person named as uchanga panya, when he listen to Dhamma, who is able to understand this is right, therefore I have to follow. I have to work with my thoughts and words and actions because it is right. It is wholesome. I can have good results of that. He understands. Also, he is able to be aware of aversion and then to prevent this kind of aversion and then to follow loving kindness and compassion. He knows how to do it. He is able to absorb reality from this sermon. Also, he knows what is delusive or not. Conventionally is right, but absolutely is not right. Therefore, I don't want to violate any rules when I work with these conventional things. He knows about that. But when he leaves the place, he doesn't want to carry on these teachings with his mind. Just he left or dropped over there all kind of understanding and then to leave. After that, he used to live according to his normal life. That means if he likes something, he wants to get it. Whether it's right or not, he doesn't want to care about that. If he doesn't like something, he used to have aversion. That means who gets angry. This is what the nature of the ordinary people. This second person is named as avakujja panya. Third person is named as putu panya. This person is respectable in Dhamma. When he listens to Dhamma, who realizes this is wholesome, this is unwholesome. This is what I have to train with my mind. This is what I am not trained with my mind. I have to avoid. Also, he is going to apply into his whole life. Not only this time, but also throughout of his life, who's going to continue his understanding, what he absorbed from Dhamma, who is called as Putupanya. When we talk about Sutame Jnana, wisdom of listening, we are supposed to continue that kind of understanding. If we are going to work towards enlightenment, definitely we have to have sammaditthi or right understanding, and then Sutanaggahita, that means listening of Dhamma, helps us to have sammaditthi or right understanding. Dear Dhamma friends, every day you may listen to various Dhamma sermons. You don't want to think about who is preaching this Dhamma. Of course, you have to think, but I'm talking about his background, his color or appearance, etc. Just think. If he is preaching the real teachings of the Buddha, that's fine. If you are knowledgeable to understand, this is what Buddha's teachings. This is not Buddha's teaching is. This is right, this is not right. With that way, you have to have a kind of knowledge to understand what is right and what is not right, and then to listen. You don't want to have any judgmental thoughts or feelings with Dhamma. That means if you are going to justify with greed or aversion, that means you are going to accumulate unwholesome thoughts. You have to be mindful, and then you have to think. You have to investigate within yourself, but it has to be free from greed or aversion or delusion. Because some people are criticizing preachers. You may have kind of criticism. You are able to criticize, that's fine, but should be constructive. You have to criticize with compassion and loving kindness. If you are going to criticize with anger and jealousy, it's not right. This is what I'm asking you, that not to have any judgmental feelings of that. Suttamaya Jnana. By listening, you are developing your mind, and then to have fruition of wisdom. That means you are going to realize Four Noble Truth. Number 3, Sakaccha Nuggahita cha hoti. When we discuss on Dhamma, it helps to have right understanding or samadhi. Of course, we have to discuss on Dhamma. When we discuss teachings of the Buddha, we can purify our mind and thoughts. You know, sometimes we may have worldly knowledge. It is subjective. You can be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, teacher, businessman, etc. But still, as ordinary people, you may engage in attachment with your present actions. When you discuss on Dhamma, you are going to have many chances to look into that or into Dhamma in different ways or in different point of views. When we look into some subjects in different point of views, there may be lots of clarifications. You know, when we talk about self, there are different definitions on that. When we talk with a Buddhist, who may say, as a conventional truth, that's fine when we call as self, like myself, or I-centered concept. But absolutely, there is no permanent entity or self. But when we talk to a non-Buddhist, who may say, of course, I'm having a permanent self. It is connected with God or whoever, omnipotent God, who may say like that. But when we discuss on these subjects without having any destructive arguments, we can clarify our own thoughts and then to respect each other. I hope finally we are able to realize on no self concept. We don't want to reject the concept of self because conventional self is there. Therefore, we are not going to self is not there. Of course, self is there, but it is conventional. Only thing is just we are going to say absolutely nothing to say self, my or mine. It's not permanent. By knowing that, we don't want to grasp anything which is permanent. This is what we want to explain on Dhamma. When we discuss on Dhamma, relate to our path, we may purify our thoughts. And then our mind gets lots of spaces to dwell good thoughts or concepts in our mind. Even for concepts and thoughts, we don't want to think as permanent. Even concepts or thoughts or feelings or sensations are impermanent. But we need those concepts and feelings to realize the nature of this life. That means these 5 aggregates are impermanent. 5 aggregates are corporeality, feelings or sensations, mental formations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Altogether, these 5 aggregates are impermanent. Therefore, when we consider as conventional self, that's fine. With this conventional self, we have to work and then to continue our life. But we have to have an aim. We have to have a goal. When we work to reach this goal, we have to realize we have no chances to take these 5 aggregates as permanent entity. It is impermanent. And then to escape from concept of self. Finally, I would say there is sense of self, but absolutely nothing to call it is permanent entity. When we discuss on Dhamma, we can clarify our thoughts. They are made tangled and entangled concepts. While discussing on that, we are able to clarify with respect. We don't want to hurt anyone else with our words or actions, but to clarify our mind and its thoughts with compassion. It helps to have right understanding or samadhi. And 4th one is samatanuggahita. Samatha means tranquility. We have to tranquilize our thoughts. Simply say, development of our mind. When we focus on the Buddha and his virtues, we are going to tranquilize our mind. As Buddhists, when we think about the Buddha, automatically Buddha's virtues come into our mind. Even when we have a bad dream, when we think about the Buddha, bad dreams used to go away or disappear. If you have fear and sorrow because of this evil dream, it may disappear because of Buddha's power, what we create in our mind. This power created by ourselves in our mind, because we think the Buddha's virtues are so powerful. When we concentrate on the Buddha, these powerful thoughts used to come to our mind because we engage in his virtues. The Buddha is so kind and enlightened. He knows everything, or he knew everything. Therefore, I feel lots of protections from the Buddha and Buddha's virtues. Therefore, I take refuge in the Buddha and his teachings. See? When we concentrate on the Buddha's virtues, we are going to have tranquility in our mind. There are other techniques of tranquility. Dhammanusati, Sanghanusati, Chaganusati, Silanusati, Devatanusati, so on. You may concentrate on morality. You may concentrate on ordained, enlightened monks. You may concentrate on giving or generosity. You may concentrate on gods who are practicing the path of the Buddha. You may concentrate on your breath while having thoughts of impermanence, unsatisfactory, and no self-concept. Also, you may concentrate on impurities of this body. There are techniques what we are supposed to focus on as tranquility. This Samathanugahita, whole techniques of this way of practices. In summary, this development of mind help lots to have right understanding. The last one is Vipassananugahita cha hoti. Vipassana, insight, knowledge of wisdom, and fruition of wisdom helps us to have right understanding. When we look into our own eternal thoughts, we have to realize there are no permanent thoughts. This is I have to realize everything arises, persists, and disbands. For a moment we feel it's persists, but still it's having changes. It's having constant changes. But simply we notice it is permanent. As I explain in my sermon more often, conventionally is there. That means self is there. Self is there. Existence is there. Those are conventional words. Because we need to continue this ordinary life and then to work towards this existence of world. So that's why we have to use of these words of existence. We have to use of self-concept. But when we look into, or when we follow insight, we realize everything arises and disbands. And then, why I'm going to grasp those things by thinking as permanent. Just let it go off. You know, when we depart from loved ones, sometimes it's hard to make our mind because we feel they were in our life. When we meet each other, we thought this meeting is permanent. We don't want to leave each other. This happiness is permanent. We don't want to lose this kind of happiness. Of course, we had kind of knowledge on that, but we are not trained or disciplined in reality, what we explain throughout of this sermon. So that's why we are supposed to train our mind and taint our thoughts to accept the reality of anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanency, unsatisfactory, and selflessness. And then we are able to keep our mind, with tranquility. And then to follow insight, vipassana, seeing things as truly they are. We are able to the things as really they are. Everything arises and disbands. Conventional things are there, but absolutely nothing is there. Everything is impermanent. And then, with peace, without having any negative thoughts of attachment, we are able to work with these human activities. At the same time, we are able to deal with mental activities. When we have lots of attachments, of course, pain and sorrow, lamentations, etc. are there. If you want to realize the truth of this nature, conventionally, we are going to be happy with other people, but it is not permanent things because we know it is impermanent. But we are not going to lose our present moment. We are living at the present moment, but present happiness we are not going to lose. Of course, it's there. Only thing is, like other attachment, like other attractive things, what we think as permanent, never give any kind of sorrowful things to our lives. Dear Dhamma friends, according to Anuggahita Sutta, I explain 5 things to help us to have samadhi or right understanding, which are moral life and being a good listener to Dhamma, also discussion and tranquility, also fruition of wisdom or practicing insight. These 5 things assist us to get samadhi or to have right understanding. I would like to have conclusion on this sermon by the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. May you be well, happy and peaceful. Finally attain supreme Nibbana. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakhantu lokasasanang. Dear Dhamma friends, this Dhamma sermon is sponsored by Madam Violet Jivandara, also Milanga and Lee, Amal and Anuradha, Ayoma and Amal. With these children, Iran, Anuk, Chanuk, those are grandchildren. Also, Mr. Premasiri, the husband of Madam Violet Jivandara, they joined to sponsor this sermon to invoke blessings towards Madam Violet Jivandara on her 78th birthday. They wanted to wish her to have happiness, good health, safety, and longevity. By the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, I would like to wish and bless Madam Violet Jivandara on her 78th birthday to be well and happy. Also for your family members, as I mentioned before, be well, happy and peaceful. Finally attain supreme Nibbana. May you be well and happy. Anumodana.
මේ උතුම් ධර්මදේශනයේ ඉංග්‍රීසි මාධ්‍යය ඔස්සේ විකාශනය කිරීමෙන් ප්‍රචාරය කිරීමෙන් උතුම් ධර්ම දානය සිදු කිරීමෙන් ජනිත වන මහා පුණ්‍ය ශක්තිය 78 වන ජන්මදිනයේ යෙදෙන වයලට් ජීවන්දර මැතිණියට නිදුක් වේවා නිරෝගී වේවා සුවපත් වේවා වහවහ ධර්ම මාර්ගයේ පූර්ණේ වේවා කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. එසේම වේවා කියලා ආශිර්වාද කරනවා.